Welcome back to the Global News Relay. I'm Bobby Fallett.
And I'm Lindsay Hyatt. We're going to take you to stories in Bulgaria.
Good evening. Welcome to our first news program. With the latest news, Alexia Kukuleus. Don't Buy, Adopt campaign gave a start to a series of initiatives a month ago for reducing the number of stray animals in the region of Blagoevgrad. The volunteers from the local shelters aim to find home for as many dogs as possible. They hope to turn the initiatives into a tradition until the problem is resolved.
Don't Buy, Adopt campaign in the town of Blagoevgrad tries to alleviate the problem with stray dogs through a series of adoption campaigns organized by volunteers. For years, the stray dogs have been an ongoing issue that the town had no idea how to manage. We're here now standing in front of the shelter in Blagoevgrad trying to get the answers.
1 month ago, a wave of volunteers started the Don't Buy Adopt campaign, encouraging people to adopt dogs from the local shelter. The locals hope to turn it into a tradition.
В работата мога да ви кажа определено, че културата на българина в това отношение се повиши. Тоест, ние за 3 месеца имаме 57 кучета, които са осиновени от нашия приют. Ние предлагаме тези животни, които са много интелигентни, обгрижени са, но хората са различни. Едни идват, взимат си от тук кучета, други се търсят породисти кучета. Което, нали разбирате, ние не може да ги убедиме в това. Всеки идва с определена нагласа. А и не е редно ние да ги убеждаваме, нали? Те просто всеки сам преценява.
In addition to that, students from the American University in town led several initiatives connected to the problem. They gathered money to treat and shelter stray dogs that were walking the streets near the university and send them here.
If you buy an animal, you kind of know what to expect, because like certain breeds have certain types of behavior, and when you adopt, you kind of don't know what you're in for. So it's kind of a journey instead of something planned out.
Bulgaria continues to be on the top lists of European countries finding the stray animal populations, but hopes remain that initiatives like these will help at least partially eradicate the problem. For Griffin TV, this was Desislava Stoeva and Marina Pankova behind.
Over 500 Ukrainian students come to Blagoevgrad each year to study in the Southwest University. They come to Bulgaria to pursue education and build a better future. Our reporter, Anna Pushkaryova, talked to them to find their reasons for moving here.
Neofit Rilsky Southwest University is the biggest higher education institution in a small town of Blagoevgrad with 13,000 students. Its wide range of majors and specialties attracts students from all over Bulgaria. In fact, young people from different countries too decide to come to study at the institution. Ukrainian students make up a big portion of internationals coming to Blagoevgrad to try their best luck. Alina Karagenova came to Southwest University 2 years ago after learning that her grandfather was Bulgarian.
Тут больше возможностей. В Украине больше дают ненужных каких-то предметов. В Болгарии тут мы учимся только, которое нужно. Типа по теме, вот как у меня дизайнинг, типа я по дизайнерски рисую, там шью и все такое. А в Украине больше ненужных материалов. И тут больше как бы практики, а в Украине больше теории.
Another student, Bogdan Gagunsky, also traced back his ancestors' footsteps to Bulgaria.
Я сюда переехал, потому что был шанс поступить на бюджет. И плюс еще у меня сейчас 20 лет, и меня могут забрать в армию. Точнее, заберут в армию. Условия жизни лучше, чем в Украине, но хуже, чем в Европе.
The students left their homeland for a chance for a better education, and many of them are not planning to go back. Some see their future in Bulgaria, others are looking towards Europe. But right now, Blagoevgrad is their only home. Anna Pushkaryova, Yana Yakovleva.
Immigration is not the only social problem that Bulgaria is trying to solve. The Roma integration has been an issue for the last few decades. Zornica Rusinova, Deputy Minister of Labor and Social Policy, told our reporter Mario Grachinov about their efforts to overcome the issue.
Roma minorities some of the challenges in many European countries, and it's not because of their origin or their ethnic recognition, but because of the way they live, that they're part of the most socially excluded groups in in our society. So it's a matter of really poverty and social exclusion, not so much on the origin of these people. Our first job is to bring children in the kindergartens and schools, because if they have the social skills, if they have the preparedness to go to school, then we can talk about digital skills and developing their professions and so on. So our first task is to keep children in the kindergartens and keep children in school and lower the rate of dropouts from the schools. There are several measures that the government is undertaking. With financial resources, we are supporting complex services together with local authorities to keep the children in the kindergartens, providing them the so-called integrated services. It's not only the educational service, but the social service, the work with parents in order to convince parents and to help parents if they have problems at their homes, and to see what are the reasons why children don't go to.
Despite the state efforts to integrate Romani people, which make up almost 5% of the Bulgarian population, only a few of them choose to pursue higher education. Mustafa and Yulian share what motivates them with our reporter Antonia Nestorova.
AUBG is among the most successful universities in the country, providing both American and European diploma. 20-year-old student Mustafa Ramadan is one of the few in the road Roma people, and despite that he is willing to succeed. Growing up in an agricultural family in Provadia, they strongly believe that the only way to integrate is education.
I came to AUBG because first time I saw the advertising and saw that they're providing a European and American diploma. I decided that this will be really beneficial for me as a person, as a professional in the future. My parents always have taught me that success is due to hard work and a particular level of education. So I really think that the successful integration for the Roma community in Bulgaria is education.
Mustafa is not the only one who decided to pursue his dreams. Yulian Satirov is a Roma teacher in one of the elite schools in Благоевград.
Учител съм в трето училище в момента, преподавам на първи клас. 1991 година записах висше образование и завърших в нашия университет педагогика с профил музика и физкултура. Имаше време, в което съм се молил за храна, защото нямаше храна, но пък това пък ме амбицира. Едно разбрах, че в този свят хората може да приемат по различен начин. Важно е какъв се приемаш ти.
Yulian always knew he will be a teacher one day and still believes that education is the only way to succeed. However, many people of their community might never have that chance. Silvana is one of them.
Работа нема, ходиме по кофите и така си скараме прехраната. На 65 години сам от 40 лева повече пари не получавам.
Mustafa and Yulian are just an example of Roma people who decided to change their life. We hope that out there is more of them who are going to believe in themselves just as they did.
Thank you for being with us. See you next time.
Practical mishaps. Right now, we are joined by Desi Stoeva in Bulgaria, Matt Broughton and Mitch Martinez from Fresno State, California. And Desi, I was with a story area. There are dog shelters all across Canada. And you kind of mentioned that in your story, a lot of students and universities are helping fight stray dogs. So I just wanted you to kind of expand on that. I wanted to learn more about it.
Absolutely. Our student body is very heavily involved in helping with the local issues that there are. And as you probably saw in our piece, stray dog populations are a huge issue. So what they do is they organize campaigns to help the dog. So if they see an injured dog on the street, they would build typically some sort of a shelter or some sort of a home for it. We would raise money in order to bring it to the vet, and eventually we just find a family for the dogs. But what they also do is they donate a lot and volunteer in the shelter that you just saw. It's just outside town. And our students are very active. When they see a problem, they want to contribute to finding a solution for it. I'm sorry, I have trouble hearing you at all. I'm sorry, you don't have any sound.
Star. Okay, sorry, we've been having some issues here, but I was actually going to ask, are most of the shelters that you have, are they no-kill shelters?
Yes, absolutely, especially the ones around Blagoevgrad. They just aim to find homes for the dogs, and they have large capacity.
Yeah, and again, we do want to apologize. We're having some technical problems right now, but I wanted to ask too, how was the involvement in this story for you guys? How was that process like for doing this story?
It was extremely exciting. We knew we wanted to do a story on it from the beginning because it's a problem that's sort of unique to the Balkan nations, and we just jumped head first into it. We considered a lot of shelters in the region, but this one was unique in its own right because it was the most successful one following the campaign. A lot of dogs found homes for it, and it's a really nice place. People were very friendly. They let us go inside, see the entire process of adoption, showed us all the documentation, which is typically people are not really open to showing it. So we got access to everything. So that was a very exciting and useful thing.
If I may ask, how do these shelters?
I have trouble hearing you.
How does the shelter?
How does the shelter create profit? Okay.
And whatnot.
I'm sorry, I tried to lip read, but I can't. Okay, they're entirely, it's a private shelter. So the woman who started organizing it, we talked to her. She's a very passionate and devoted woman. She's a graduated chemist, actually worked in a lot of spheres, but she started with the idea to help dogs. It generally, it uses European funds for it, and they don't charge for the dogs. They just get dogs, usually pick them up from the streets, vaccinate them, and do everything with the help of different European projects, as you probably know that there are there, and they just use the money for a good cause.
We in Fresno, we have a question here. How much money does this shelter usually generate?
The woman said she was not allowed to disclose that sort of an information. We did ask, but we did not get an answer for it.
Okay.
Can you guys hear us now from Toronto? Are we getting any sound from Toronto? Are we coming in?
It's a little bit better.
Yes.
That's good. I know that in Toronto, of course, we also have a problem with dog dumping. Essentially, a lot of people, when they get a dog and then they realize they care for it, they end up dumping it in forests and in garbage, and it's just been a really big issue.
Exactly, and especially with the cold climate of Canada, it's difficult for dogs to survive on their own. Even in warm weather, but in cold weather, I guess the saying goes, if you're cold, they're cold. So especially if dogs are dumped and stray dogs, it makes for a very unfortunate situation. We have our SPCA, which is a groups that are against animal cruelty that run animal shelters. They're also filled with dogs that are a result of unplanned litters, where owners will have their pet have an unexpected litter, and of course the owner will not know what to do, but to they're left with no other choice but to give the dogs to an animal shelter. So,
and I think that the really big issue here in Canada is that we don't have enforced rules necessarily, like for punishments, for example. So I just wanted to know, what kind of punishments are there in Bulgaria?
Currently, there are no punishments that are being enforced on people because there's no way to prove that the dog was actually owned by you. They're trying to put a lot of regulations right now in law because they're seeing that it's a big problem, but currently there's none. That's why it's becoming a problem. And it's not necessarily that much because of people giving up on the dogs that they're both. Usually it's because a lot of people raise their dogs outside and sometimes they escape in because we don't have that harsh of a climate. It's only in winter, but in the other times it's very easy for the dogs to just form different big groups, and if they haven't been castrated, they start having baby dogs, and that's why it's been growing and growing. So what the shelters also does as a side activity is not only house the dogs, but also pick them up, vaccinate them, because castrate them. So even if they live on the streets, they still don't reproduce, so that it's not a non-growing issue. So they just keep them healthy, and because the weather outside is not as harsh, they can sometimes live outside if they cannot get all dogs in the shelter.
We have neutering programs here that make sure that the dogs in our area will also be neutered, as well as vaccinations, sometimes even for free.
And we also have the SPCA as well.
Yeah, we do.
Are shelters like the one you featured, how are they doing in terms of, I guess, not supply and demand, for a lack of better terms? Are they able to keep up with the amount of dogs that are in need?
No, not at all. The woman said it's been really overwhelming for her. Our campus is not really situated in one of the bigger cities in Bulgaria, but she says there's still calls all the time. We had even trouble actually meeting with her because she's always on call. So what she does is, if she receives a call from someone calling from a stray dog, she goes there, she checks the situation, see if she can possibly accommodate the dog or find an owner for it, or again, vaccinate it. So there are a lot of dogs. She's trying to keep up with the demand, but it's huge right now. That's why they're looking into opening more and more dog shelters for that purpose.
Absolutely, that's very enlightening. I don't think we have a lot of time left, but it's great talking with you about that. It's such an important issue to everybody, especially pet owners. And it's just so heartbreaking to see animals in such need after experiencing such neglect. I'm not exactly a dog person myself, but it'd be very difficult not to have deep thoughts of compassion towards these animals.
Right. I agree. We've been talking with Desi at the American University in Bulgaria and Matt and Mitzi at Fresno State in California. Coming up next on the Global News Relay, stories about shelter and homelessness from Salford University in Manchester, England.
And Ryerson will actually be taking over right now Global News Relay.
Hand it over to you guys.
And
thank you so much.
So Mitzi, can you believe we have already been doing this for about 2 hours or so?
Exactly.
Yeah. Hi, Ryerson, how are you doing today?
How's this morning going for you guys?
It's been hectic. We've been trying to connect with you guys all morning. I hope that our audio is coming through. Can you guys hear us well?
I'm sorry, we're having audio issues. We can't hear you guys at all.
Are we coming through quiet or not at all?
Can you hear us?
No, we can't.
No.
We're having issues with the audio right now where we can't hear you guys.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I don't know if you can hear us yet.
Okay,
Nothing.
We can hear you guys now.
Okay,
Here,
perfect.
that's
What a big sequence of events this morning.
That's how our morning
Right.
goes. We're trying to connect and we're trying to get audio, but this is what happens. There's nothing you can do. You just gotta go with the flow.
You know,
Gotta keep rolling, right,
Yeah.
right. We feel bad for the people in our control room right now because
Yeah.
they're running like chickens without a head right now.
But you know what I will say though too is I'm so excited to be working with them, with Ryerson again. I had the
Exactly.
chance to work with you guys last year on Global Campus Network, which is also very exciting, and that's going to be a great show as well. So I'm happy to be working with you guys again. I always love working with you.
Even though there's technical issues, it's still a
Exactly,
pleasure to be here working with you
exactly.
guys.
Well, this is our first part. This is our first time actually joining the Global News Relay, and we're so excited. And it's been an amazing time making stories, now chatting with you guys across the world. It's really amazing how we can all unite with technology, although we've been having some problems, but about that.
And you mentioned how your producers in your control room are running around like chickens without a head.
Right.
It's one of the few circumstances we can say that's happening all over the world, because I can tell you it's certainly it's happening up here in Canada. I think this morning it was happening in India also, if we understand correctly. It's funny because we had this beautiful multi-camera setup in our studio right now, and our show has been reduced to a simple laptop and a Skype phone call.
Yikes.
No longer activated, unfortunately. But this is what it takes to make it work, and we're doing,
And we're just
the
happy
best
to
we
be
can.
talking to you guys.
Exactly.
All right. So hey, how's the weather in Canada right now?
Today, it's going to be a high of 16 degrees, and this is the warmest it's been. I know that last week we actually had a crazy ice storm
Oh, wow.
in the middle of April, which, of course, if we're talking about homelessness and shelter, that affects our shelters. But good thing is that we have respite services open up until April 15th. So that's 6 degrees in Fahrenheit, 76 degrees in Fahrenheit. For you guys. So
Quick question: Can people go out while there's these storms happening? Can they go out and walk, or how do people get around?
That's a good question. It's an ice storm, I guess. It's a foreign concept to a lot of people in different nations around the world. You see the picture you have in your head. It's basically freezing rain, and what we classify as freezing rain is if it's not quite ice pellets, but very cold water that'll freeze on impact whenever it lands on anything. Ice or cars, apartments. We can't hear you guys.
I hope you're hearing us.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we can hear you guys. I was actually wondering, so anybody who's homeless over there, that's an issue, right? So people die out in these when these storms are going on?
Well, we have winter respite services open. In Toronto, we got 2
And now with the homeless population, are they all kind of in one area, part of town, or are they kind of scattered? Because I know here in Fresno, we have most of our homeless are in one part of town, which is downtown. So is it kind of scattered, or are they all kind of in, people who are homeless in one area?
Ours is generally in the downtown core of Toronto, roughly in one area.
Yeah, you're right. Although when you put it into a global perspective once again, and as representatives of Canada, it's important to notice and to acknowledge that in other parts of the country, we're just such a diverse place that it doesn't really represent the homeless situation in Toronto is probably one of the worst in the country, but there are other situations whereas homeless people might choose to live a more rural lifestyle as well. But in Toronto, as Ksenia said, mostly downtown, I guess.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a story that recently just broke on our campus, actually. We have a Tim Hortons, which you might be familiar with in Fresno, but it's a Canadian coffee chain. There's a location on our campus where a homeless gentleman has been living for 10 years, I think they said.
Yeah.
Just underneath the storefront. There's a little bit of a sheltered area. And every day he would hold the door for the patrons going in and out of the Tim Hortons, out of the coffee shop, and wish them a nice day. And then hopefully in exchange, a lot of people like to donate their change to him. And the downtown business, one of the downtown business groups, associations, recently installed planters, like a tree of trees in that area to displace him because he actually wasn't taking advantage of the shelters that were available to him. But I digress. We're running out of time, but it's a very deep issue that definitely deserves some attention.
Definitely.
And we'll be right back on the Global News Relay.
Live, learn, explore, meet friends, plan and succeed. A university can become your smart new world, a springboard to a successful future. Our figures speak. 99.8% of American University in Bulgaria alumni get employed or enrolled in grad school within a few months of graduation. By joining us, you embark on a path leading to outstanding professional achievements worldwide. Join the American University in Bulgaria, your Smartversity.